You are watching All About Alpena. All About Alpena is produced by Alpena Marketplace Productions, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Visit us often on the web at www.allaboutalpena.com. Once there, you can email us with your thoughts, concerns, questions, and of course we have our updated schedule there. Or feel free to call us at 354-2295.
These days, current events unfold on a dozen channels. Headlines all seem to be shouting, and good news can be as scarce as a moment to relax. So let's turn down the noise this summer, unplug just a little bit, and head to a shelter from the storms of life. The historic port city of Alpena, located on the Sunrise Shore of Michigan. Only a few hours' drive, but miles away from the weight of the world. Nestled between a vast forest and an endless clear blue bay, where the wonders of nature are as welcoming as the local hospitality. We can explore more than 200 shipwrecks in the largest freshwater sanctuary anywhere. Count the stairs to the top of a lighthouse, or the masts that jut into the harbor sky at moonrise. Let's take a trip to the friendly, picturesque city of Alpena, a haven from the world that's pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
For your viewing pleasure, this broadcast of the Municipal Council meeting of Alpena is made possible by the funding provided by the City of Alpena. Thank you for your generosity.
Good evening. Welcome to Alpena City Council meeting of July 21st, 2014. Call the order, please.
Johnson?
Here.
Nielsen?
Here.
Nowak?
Here.
Sexton?
Here.
Walagora?
Here. Rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone have an opportunity to read the minutes of closed session of July 7th, 2014 and regular session of July 7th, 2014. Any issues? Any modifications to the agenda this evening? You do.
Yes, I move to amend the agenda to add to item 14, council action if necessary in the city, township, water and sewer issue.
Second. Second. Nielsen?
Yes.
Nowak?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
Johnson?
Yes.
Any others? Citizens appearing before council on non-agenda and agenda items are allowed 5 minutes each to address their concerns. It's the only time during the council meeting you're allowed to address council. If you do so, please come to the podium and state your name and address for our records.
I have.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I have
Greg.
one.
You did, Greg does.
Since there's nobody else, and I'll have this available to the press if they want it afterward for wallpaper in their bedroom or whatever. This has to do with the proposal one on personal property tax reform. Local units of government, including the city of Alpena, have relied on property taxes, both real and personal, for a significant portion of their general fund operating revenue. Real property taxes are assessed on land and the permanent improvements that are constructed on it. Personal property taxes, or PPT as they're known, are assessed on equipment, machinery, and furnishings owned by commercial and industrial businesses. This has always been a contentious tax, as it is paid yearly by the business after it has purchased the equipment and paid sales tax on it. For the local jurisdictions and the businesses, the collection of the equipment or machinery inventory and its value is a tedious process. For many years, there has been talk of eliminating the PPT to promote business development in the state by providing a more even playing field with our neighboring states who have eliminated the tax many years ago. However, local jurisdictions rely to varying degrees on the PPT revenue to fund a variety of services. Local jurisdictions generally supported the repeal of the personal property tax, but with the proviso that the lost revenue be fully reimbursed. In late 2012, the legislature approved and the governor signed a series of bills that eliminated the PPT but provided only about 90% reimbursement, which was not guaranteed. Following negotiations between the state and representatives of the various local units of government, a new series of bills was approved in the first half of 2014 that would provide quote-unquote full funding for local jurisdictions from the state based on a set of criteria and a variety of funding sources. One of these sources is to use a portion of the state use tax, which is paid by out-of-state suppliers. This requires a vote of the electorate, and a request to utilize the tax for this purpose will appear on the August primary ballot as Proposal 1. Whether one is in favor of or opposed to utilizing a portion of the state use tax towards the reimbursement to local units of government for the lost revenue due to the elimination of the PPT, it is important that each voter understand what they are voting on. The legislature is the one who actually drafted the ballot language, and the manner in which they did so makes it difficult enough for those familiar with the PPT issues to fully understand what the ballot language is requesting, let alone those who are not fully informed. As a city official, I am prohibited from suggesting how people should vote on this issue. My intent is to provide basic information to the voter regarding the proposal so he or she may make the best informed decision no matter how they ultimately vote. To that end, below are some brief bullet points regarding the PPT and what a yes or no vote on Proposal 1 will do relative to that tax. If it is approved, it will permanently eliminate the PPT for all small commercial and industrial businesses and will phase out over 9 years the personal property tax for large industrial companies. It will utilize a portion of the state use tax along with expiring state tax credits to Michigan businesses and a small tax on qualified industrial businesses to reimburse in whole local jurisdictions for the loss of that PPT revenue. For the city of Alpena, this equates to approximately $650,000, or approximately 17.3% of all city property tax revenue and 12.9% of the city's general fund, at least for this current fiscal year. It will create a local community stabilization authority to collect the reimbursement revenue from the state and the use tax and distribute it to the local jurisdictions per criteria and formula established in the PPT reform legislation. It will not increase taxes to individual taxpayers, and it cannot allow the state use tax to go above its constitutional limit of 6%. If the ballot proposal is rejected, it will validate the PPT reform legislation and reinstitute the prior personal property tax provisions of the state law, tax law. No matter what your views are on this issue, you are encouraged to vote on August 5th. If you have specific questions, feel free to, I would suggest, contact your state representatives, either 106th District Representative Peter Battaglia or Senator John Molinar, as they are the ones that voted on and approved I think it was a series of about 7 or 10 bills. So this is available if the press wants it, but just wanted to pass along what we could, at least for the voters, about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, on the consent agenda this evening, A are bills to be allowed in the amount of $306,969.36. B is one mayoral appointment to the Historical District Study Committee for an undefined term. It's Douglas Pugh. One mayoral reappointment to the Downtown Development Authority for a 4-year term expiring on 8/1/2018 is Dan Florip. And D is approval of budget amendments to finish incomplete projects from fiscal year 2013-14, which are the Fire Department Jaws of Life, Sewer Fund for land improvements, driveway resurfacing, flow meters, and entrance gate. 3 is the Water Fund, clear well repair. 4 is the Light Department for light pole replacements. 5 is IT Department, Wired City.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Noah?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nielsen?
Yes.
Okay, no more announcements, no proclamations. Down to report of officers, treasurer's financial report July 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2014.
Even though this is the end of the fiscal year, we still have a lot of work to do to truly close the books because we have to do an audit and accruals. But I was able to get a few numbers for you. The top 3 sources of our revenue are state revenue sharing and the EVIP, property taxes, and the ambulance, county ambulance service. So 2 out of 3 of those, we got slightly more revenue than we had anticipated, which is very good. And then in the ambulance, we were about $31,000 below what we had budgeted. However, our ambulance service has continued to increase revenue with the more services that we provide. The revenue for the entire general fund was 100.87%, or about $78,000 more total than we had budgeted. So that was very close to what we had budgeted. As far as expenditures for the general fund, we ended up at 95.65%. Again, these will change a little bit. And that comes to about $412,000 of our budgeted expenditures. And the savings, I looked through all the detail, and it wasn't just from 1 or 2 pieces of equipment or anything like that. It was, if you go through each department, it was a little bit here, a little bit there, and those thousands, 2,000 here, 3,000 there, all added up. So we were able to save quite a bit of money or stay under our budget. There are a few, as you saw in the budget amendments, capital items that we're going to roll over and finish. Some of our projects did not get done this year or last fiscal year, so we'll get those done. And then on the sheet that I passed out tonight, and I gave the press a few sheets, I just wanted to show you, it was this sheet that I passed out. I just wanted to let you know that on the top portion, that's actually in the budget for this year. That's what we had anticipated. If you look down below, it says estimated fund balances. We started this year with 3.131,728 fund balance. Our actual revenue and expenditures on the trial balance, as you can see, we ended up using only about 44,000 of our fund balance. And we had thought we were going to need about 535,000. So we will end up approximately at 34% fund balance, maybe a little bit less than that because some of that is kept for the IT capital. And then so we'll start this year a little bit over $3 million for fund balance. And again, this is what we're anticipating, that we're going to spend a little bit more in expenditures. As you can see, the budget $10,101,000 in expenditures, $9,446,000 in revenue. So we will end this fiscal year at about $2.4 million or 24%. And again, if we continue to work hard and stay under budget, that'll still stay up there. So there was a lot, this is good news for us. Maybe things are turning around a little bit with state revenue sharing and the property taxes. We got a few grants this year that helped us out. We're doing everything we can to save money on medical expenses and health insurance and things like that, so. Are there any questions?
And our policy is to expect to end between 18 and 20%.
I think 20 we wanted as our max.
20 is the max.
And then once we hit that, and then we can look up the policy and I can bring it next time too. We had prioritized a few things.
What we do with that? When do we do that? When you're closing the fiscal year now, and when we close, you'll know whether this estimate of 34% at the end of this year, you'll know what that actually is.
Yes,
So-
it'll be actual. Actually, it won't. It'll be a couple months.
Right, but when we know that, what it's going to be, and then we continue to see that, okay, our expectations are gonna be, still gonna be 24% next year when our policy is max of 20.
Mhm.
And then if we max at 20, or go over 20, we have these other list of things that we should do with
Right.
that. When do we decide that we should do some of those?
Most of the time is during budget.
Okay.
For example, our fund balance has been on the high side, so what we had talked about a couple months ago, we've doubled our amount that we put in the post-retirement healthcare fund, because that is very underfunded, and we'll be getting a report on that maybe in a month.
And it's one of the top 5, isn't it?
Yes, I think it was number 2, but, so we went from 2% of our salaries to 4% to try to fund that.
Right.
So that's the type of thing that we doubled. We put 5,000 in our fund, budget stabilization, and we haven't been able to put anything in there, so we can, that's that rainy day fund that saved us for 3 years when things were really bad.
Yeah. And obviously with what Greg was just talking about, we still don't know what that's gonna be, so this coming year will be another one of those years where we just
I
kind of
know.
hope that it's the same.
Personal property.
So-
Which is why we've often said, even though there's that list of 5 things, we may not want to do any of them right now because of still the unknowns and the fact that we're still operating in a deficit situation in terms of what we're projecting at the end of each fiscal year, and we'd like to obviously get that to where it's on the positive side. Then it would make more sense to do some of those, but we'd rather hold on to that money if we are gonna have another, be in deficit, even if those deficits are shrinking, just to be safe, so we don't get the fund balance suddenly too low, because we do have a bad year in that.
And we've asked for that for, I believe, about
Yeah.
3 years, is let's
Yeah.
get that fund balance up. If we lost $650,000, I mean, we just couldn't survive very, very long
Okay.
with the services that we're offering.
No, we'd have
Okay.
major
I just wanted to
change.
get an idea of when we,
So what we do when we look at that, the election in August will tell us one way or another about the personal property tax. So, and then we'll hopefully know if they're gonna replace it or not. Those type of things will help us know. And we keep cutting back on capital. That's one of the things, we can only cut back so far.
right, so we would know, even if things go in a positive direction with, not only with, well, with what they do with personal property tax, let's put it that way.
Mhm.
We still wouldn't do anything until we knew it for springtime.
Yeah, and then you could direct us if there was something that you felt that we would do to bring that. And what we also could do is we'll start the budget again February next year. We can start leaning towards certain things if we know that the money is going to be replaced for the personal property tax. We can maybe get some of these capital projects done. We can maybe go from 4% to 6% to fund the post-retirement health care, that type of thing. We can look at that list of priorities and start going down it and funding some of those that we've put off for so long.
Great, anybody else?
Just a comment and a thank you to both you and Greg and all the department heads. I mean, that's fantastic to see it come in that strong again this year, and I know that's a lot of hard work, so I really appreciate that.
Thanks.
And that's been consistent. I mean, every year I've been here, our fund balance is always higher than what we project. And that's largely due to each individual department staying under their budget. If the state and the federal government could take a page out of that book, it'd be in good shape. Good job.
Need to receive five.
I do, please.
So moved.
Second.
Sexton?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nielsen?
Yes.
Nowak?
Yes.
Next up, communications and petitions. Chris Conger, Black Sheep Pub request for outdoor seating. Adam is here to explain that.
Yep, the Black Sheep has requested an outdoor seating area, similar to the outdoor seating areas that were granted last year to the Thunderbeer Winery and the Fresh Palette. The dimensions, as far as how far it comes out, would be identical to those two businesses. Basically, the process is the Liquor Commission requires that the city approve, basically sign off or approve any outdoor seating areas or expansions. So that's what we're here for. You may have noticed that the lines may or may not have already gotten there, but that's principally because Rich ran the gentleman that paints the lines and he's going out of business. So he was able to get that done prior to that occurring. He was able to get that done in a timely manner, maybe a little too timely. But questions?
I don't have any questions. I think it's great that they've that it's been successful downtown in the other areas and with the Black Sheep being also downtown. It makes sense. Questions? Anybody else?
I move we approve the outdoor seating section for the Black Sheep.
Second.
Walagora?
Aye.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nielsen?
Yes.
Nowak?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Thank you, Adam. Next up, we're down to new business, utility billing format change.
This is more of an informational item, but I wanted to get it out before council and immediately. Beginning with the billings issued on or after August 1st, 2014, we'll be moving away from the old postcard style bills that we've typically seen, and going to a full page, 8.5 by 11, inserted into an envelope, similar to what Alpena Power Company issues. We know that this is going to generate a lot of questions, but there is a lot of additional information on that bill that we could not have on postcards in the past. So what we've done is worked with the billing company that United Water is utilizing. They've generated just a one-pager. This one happens to be from Kansas City. It's being modified to City of Alpena at this point in time. That will explain what each part of that bill is. And this would go out with the first bill. So for 3 months, each one of those entities that gets, each one of those groups that gets a bill would get this. It was about a $500 cost to have this produced and inserted into the bill. But we felt it could head off a lot of questions, explain a lot of the information that we have included on the bill. And we know we're still going to get more questions at the utility office. What does this mean? How do I, what's going on? But it does give them an opportunity to see and have it explained to them what's on the bill. The nice thing about this bill is it also gives us room to put additional information. If we want to get some piece of information out to all the water and sewer utility customers, we can do that via this bill. So that can be changed on a monthly basis, correctly. And Mike is here. He's been working closely with the company on this, so if there's any questions.
So the $500 that you mentioned, that's just a one-time to put the flyer in to the flyer you were
Basically
talking
get
about.
them designed and inserted into the first 3 months worth of bills.
I don't get a power bill, but it's free. No. I opted out of the paper bill a long time ago, so when I saw this, it reminded me of the old paper bills that I once got from the power company, and you compared them, to that. But will there eventually be, or will there be a way for me and anybody else to also opt out of a paper bill and be able to, if you're familiar with the power company, you can go on there and you can see all your historical data and things of that nature? Are we moving towards that, or?
We're taking baby steps. This is quite a change for us.
Yeah.
We wanted to change to the envelope style because we do have a lot of problems with the postcard splitting and getting lost. We do have plans of having all the options that the power company has, and we'll be utilizing the same company that they used, Afron, to accomplish those things. But we're kind of moving slowly.
Okay.
And we know that that's a lot of customers' goals and want, and we're certainly going to look at that. There will be an extra cost associated with those kind of services. So just so the council knows that is going to happen. There's an extra cost associated with the envelope as opposed to the postcard because it's a larger charge from the post office to do that. So,
Okay.
but we are looking at those options. Again, we're trying to do things slowly so we don't create a lot of problems with the system. Take one bite off at a time, and eventually, we're pretty confident that we'll be able to offer the same service that the power company offers.
Thanks, Mike.
Was it strictly the postcard tearing that, had you guys change? I'm trying to understand exactly if this was more
You
efficient
could
or...
put more information on.
Okay.
And if you look at that mock-up, there's actually a graph there where the customer can track their consumption over the course of a year. So they can look at the same time last year and see if there's a difference. And I think that's a nice feature to have. We can also provide a lot more information so that we can avoid questions that customers have about charges. The whole back end of this will be explaining the various charges that the utility can have on a bill. From whether it's a sewer call, whether it's thawing, a water service, whether it's delinquent charge, video inspection charges, that'll all be defined on the back of the bill, as well as there'll be a tear off where you can, if you want your bill deducted from your checking account or your savings account, all you need to do is fill that in and put in the information that we request, and it'll be an automatic deduction from your checking or savings account.
That's currently a service you're offering right now.
Currently is a service, but people have to come in and actually sign those forms.
Okay.
This allows them to just do it by mail.
Okay. And I'm assuming from your answer that you were getting a lot of requests for that type of information, a lot of people coming in and...
Get a lot of phone calls, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
The biggest problem I think that people have is because the postcard is so small, they tend to get lost by the mail carriers. And a lot of people claim that they never got their bill. Unfortunately, we can't tell them, well, you're not going to avoid the delinquent charge, because anyone could say you didn't get the bill. But probably a lot of those are legitimate complaints, because the bill is so small, it can get lost by the mail carrier.
You don't need any action.
No, I don't, no, just information.
Information.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
Second.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nielsen?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yep.
Walagora?
You are watching All About Alpena.